Good to go.
Welcome, fellow last placers, and welcome to the episode of. I think we're going to use this name and let us know if you like it. But Yendi gave us a name, and it's called LPF Debrief, right?
Yeah, debrief.
And so it's pretty cool. So we'll just do LPF Debrief, and then whatever subject we're talking about. So right now we're going to talk about Black Widow. So this is going to be the first official name of LPF Debrief Black Widow. So I like it. What about you, Chris? What do you
I
think?
do too. Now we need a little intro, like a little.
Yeah. Now, of course, we're still not going to change any of the things. We're still going to shame Yendi because he hasn't watched the movie and we have.
And he's probably not
So
going to be
yeah,
honest.
so it is what it is. But so we're here to talk about Black Widow, and Chris and I both saw it today, 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Eastern time. So we watched it today. So it's kind of fresh in our mind. If we do miss some Easter eggs and stuff like that, we'll discuss it at another time. But this is pretty much like our first impression of seeing it. We're like fresh off of seeing it, and just gonna give us our thoughts about it. So Chris, what'd you think about it, man?
I enjoyed it. It was a nice like comeback to the Marvel movies. Not gonna say it's like my
Nice way to
top.
ease in.
Yeah, nice way to
Yeah,
ease in. That's what I'll say. I'm not
yeah.
gonna say it's like my favorite or anything like that.
No, no.
I had fun with it. It was a fun movie. That opening, to be honest, without her sister in the movie, like it would have been very depressing. I definitely
Mhm.
got the feeling of okay, of
What
Endgame.
was that?
You heard it too?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's my
Yeah.
tongue. Her like so. Lost my train of thought.
You're talking
Oh,
about
Endgame. It gave me a feeling like Endgame, where I was just like the beginning. I'm like, man, this is rough. But
yeah.
obviously, like she always talked about how rough her childhood was and how she came up. But what else? Uh, Russian Captain America was dope.
Yeah.
Taskmaster was
Super dope.
super dope. As soon as
Yeah.
I saw the outfit and
See?
everything, I was like,
Yeah.
yes, like
Mhm.
I loved it a lot. It looked great, and I had to lean into Brie too because I was like, yeah, usually like because Taskmaster's usually a Spider-Man's like
Well,
foe, right?
Taskmaster
Well, I
is
know he's
just
like
a
everywhere, but
yeah, he's pretty much he's not he doesn't have a like go to.
yeah,
He's pretty much out there because he again if you we this is a spoiler cast by the way. We're just gonna talk about all this stuff. But anyway, basically Taskmaster's just what he pretty much was in this. He's a dude who goes out well in this case not a dude but
yeah, not a
you know what
dude.
I mean, but he basically or it basically goes out and does whatever it needs to do and it learns all these new tactics and things like that. So yes, he's fought Spider-Man, which is why he knows how to do some web swinging. He's
Yeah,
fought Captain America obviously, so that's why he knows how to use a shield and things like that, but he doesn't actually tie down to anyone in particular. He's fought in Daredevil, he's fought in pretty much everyone. He's been a good guy at one point.
yeah.
He's also been in the Thunderbolts, which we're going to get into later, but things like that. So he's just a, an all-around character pretty much.
My only complaint with Taskmaster was I wanted the hood on a lot. I
Uh-huh.
kept seeing it
Yeah.
like hanging back. I'm like, put the freaking hood on.
Yeah.
I want to see it all. So, but yeah, what did you think of the movie, man?
Well, again, I enjoyed it. My biggest issues were with that movie is not um, the movie itself is good. I think the movie itself is a good movie. I think I just have issues with prequels in general,
Mm-hmm.
and this movie is a prequel of sense, right? So basically, we already know what happens to Black Widow, and the problem I have with prequels is the fact that you know what's going to happen. Like at no point in this movie do you feel like Black Widow's in any kind of danger, right? So like even though they're doing dangerous things, you have no fear of her dying. Like you know what I mean? And even though some of the characters, like, are not going to die, like later on or whatever the case may be, I still like to have that sense of something bad can happen here and it's going to have a lasting effect. So, like, I feel this movie didn't, like, this movie basically was like, okay, here's Black Widow's story. And I feel like this movie was more of a setup for her sister,
Yeah.
right? So, this movie definitely set up that character, and Florence Pugh was amazing as she is in every movie she's in. So she was fantastic. She was the highlight of the movie for me. She was smart. She's actually, if surprising enough, because I've also always had an issue with Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Like Florence Pugh was exactly the Black Widow I wanted. Like I wanted Natasha to be Florence Pugh. Like if that was the character that we got, like with the accent, with all that stuff, like that is exactly the Black Widow I wanted. So it's kind of weird, like that, her and and I love Scarlett Johansson. I have no problem with her. Like as an actress, I just feel like with Black Widow, there was it always felt like something was missing,
Hmm.
and like Florence Pugh basically did everything that I felt was missing. Like you know what I mean from Black Widow. So overall, I did enjoy it. I thought this was a great setup of that character. Scarlett Johansson was perfect. Like she did her role, and I like that they kind of harped on the whole like her being emotional and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this is why I also would have preferred if this movie was released right after Civil War, because then Endgame would have made a little bit more sense on why she's so like why she wants all this to be fixed, like why she wants her family to stay together, why she feels like the Avengers are her family, right? So like it's very interesting to me that you released this afterwards, and like we already got the development, right? So like we already got Black Widow being developed into the character that she was in this movie, right? And I feel like it should have been the other way around. So I
Yeah.
feel like we should have gotten this movie first and then understood more why she was developed in the way she was in Endgame. And I knew I was going to have a problem with that, and the movie just confirmed that my problem was going to be that it was a prequel.
Yeah,
So,
because it came, it's so late. Like we've already gone through the origin stories of everyone.
mhm,
Even with Spider-Man, it was just like, let's just cut to the chase. Like
yeah.
they've already seen it two times around. You got bit, like you got
Hmm.
powers. Let's just go into it. They already know.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been years since we've gotten an origin story. So like getting it in the MCU right now, it just
Yeah.
feels very strange. Unless it's like a villain, like usually sometimes you'll get a villain's small
Hmm.
backstory real quick. But like
Yeah.
as a main character that you've been following for a while, she
Yeah.
was in the movies for a while to
Yeah.
now to now know like, oh, this is where she came from. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
And I mean,
cool.
the last origin we got pretty much would have been was Captain Marvel, right? So
Yeah.
like, and again, like that movie has similar. It's just that it's a prequel, and like I don't sense any danger for Carol Danvers. Like I just don't feel like she's ever going to get hurt or ever going to die because we've already seen her afterwards, right? So like when you do that, to me, it limits your movie, like your storytelling, unless you go into the movie planning on telling something else. And we all know that this movie wasn't made earlier because of like this, And me, I mean, I'm not going to say we know this, but I have a pretty good understanding that Hollywood just feared that a woman role couldn't, carry a movie, and she carried this movie really well. And
Hmm.
Wonder Woman also was the reason why they were like, oh, we could actually make money off of these movies. So I think, I had no problem with Scarlett Johansson being able to carry the movie. I thought she does what she does. She's great at it. And I feel like like I said, in this movie, I just felt there was no sense of danger. Like even when, Taskmaster when finds her and like blows her up, like you already know in the back of your head, she's not dead. Like she's gonna be hurt, but
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like you have no sense of real danger. Even when she got kicked off, which was hilarious, by the way, the way that she just
It
flew
like flew
off,
off the
like
bridge.
I was like, oh snap! But like, and the fight scenes, I mean, we can get into that. The fight scenes were dope. And this is also another issue with me and Scarlett Johansson being Black Widow is that those fight scenes are always very limited because it's always a far back shot,
Hmm.
right? So you don't really see the hand to hand style like up close, which I always have a problem and that's me like stylistically because I do watch a lot of like kung fu stuff and hand to hand combat where those shots are so much cooler because the character's actually doing them.
Yeah.
And that's just me though. That's an aesthetic
No,
thing.
I mean
Like
I
I
feel that
know,
because side
yeah.
note, like whenever my theater had the trailer for Snake Eyes,
Hmm.
and that looks really
Yes,
good. I was just like, oh,
exactly.
it took me a second to realize it was Snake Eyes. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
Kung Fu, we're going in,
Yeah.
and then I
Also,
noticed I was like, oh, wait, here it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one of the guys in Snake Eyes is in one of my favorite shows on HBO Max. It's called Warrior. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
All
But
right.
you'll enjoy it. But yeah, you know what I mean. And that was also an issue I had with. That's why I like when people are wearing a mask if they're not doing it, like the Daredevil scenes, right?
Yeah.
Daredevil scenes were all epic because he's wearing a mask and you don't know who it is, so you can do different camera work styles. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it kind of gets you more involved in the fighting. But all of if you really pay attention to all of Black Widow's fight scenes, they're all pretty much the same, right? So there's kind of like backed out or a top view or a view you just can't see her face, right? Or you just see the hair flying around and stuff like that. So they were interesting, but I feel like we always kind of see that the same thing every time she has her fight scenes. It's either like there's only so much you can play with because you can't move the camera completely around, right?
Yeah.
So I did have like that's always been a running issue with me and Black Widow. So I don't think like I'm not gonna harp too bad and like say oh it was terrible because of that, but it's just it is what it is, and that's what this movie was. Red Guardian was hilarious.
Oh
Like he was
man.
so
So
funny.
yeah, I'm really liking it. I don't know his real actual name.
Hmm.
But I'm really liking it, man. As an actor, I'm
Yeah,
like, oh man, he's one of those guys that's just like, oh, he's in it, watching it. That's fine.
yeah.
I'm gonna watch it. Um,
Hmm.
it was just kind of cool that his name's Alexi, right, in the movie.
Yes, Alexi.
And then in Stranger Things, there was an Alexi in Stranger Things. So
Yeah,
like at the same time, he was probably filming this, or well, not probably not at the same time because he had to bulk up for this
yeah.
for sure because
It's
he was
David
a big
Harbour,
guy.
by the way.
Oh,
Is
David
his
Harbour.
name?
Okay. Yeah, hilarious guy.
Mm.
I liked how cocky he was. Like he just wanted to be noticed. He's like that moment where he's talking to her. He's like, "You ever talk about me?"
Yeah.
She's like,
Like who are
"Who?"
you talking about?
And he's like, "Captain
It's
America."
like
He's never
America.
said anything.
My, he's not like my nemesis. He's like my equal,
Yeah,
and he's like, no, bro, he's not.
he wants to make sure they're like, ah,
Yeah,
yeah, we do the same thing. We do
exactly.
the same thing.
Yeah, he's like, we're both soldiers. Like,
Oh
what I mean, we're on
man,
the same level.
yeah, and
But yeah,
him,
he was great. I
yeah,
mean, even the mom was also great. I'm forgetting her name, but she was also great. They did, like I said, they did a really good job at the family dynamic. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it really did feel like, hey, this was a dysfunctional family, and I thought one of the great scenes was towards the end of the movie where she's like, one of my families are broken, and I'm gonna try to put them back, like help
yeah,
them get together, right?
yeah,
And it's funny because at the beginning of the movie, it was actually her other family that was kind of like all over the place,
yeah,
and they like, you know what I mean. So I thought that was cool and a witty way of expressing, her family and stuff like that. I thought, yeah, like I said, I thought the fight scenes were good. I thought the pacing of the movie was pretty dope. I
yeah.
didn't think like, it didn't feel too long for me. I
The setting, like basically the plot, I felt like was delivered a little too quick. Like them
Yeah.
going from like the chasing that one girl, which I
Mhm.
did like the callback of like you caught my hand, I dropped the knife and catch it
Yeah.
with my other hand. I did
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
dope.
But like whenever she got the box and she's like, she comes to and she's like give it to everybody else, and it's like very
Yeah.
quick, and I was like,
Mhm.
and it's just like I wasn't lost. It just took me a second. I was just like, okay, I know what's going on now,
Yeah.
and we can move on. So
But that's what I'm saying. Like I said, when you do prequel stories, also that's kind of the issue you run into because you
yeah,
kind of box yourself into telling a story where you know that these characters can't get hurt, right? Because you're besides the sister, you knew for sure like you knew that Black Widow was not going to be in danger because we already saw her outcome. So for me, prequels always have a weird pace because you're trying to tell a story within what has already happened, and it's not like, and we know how strongly connected these movies are, right? So it's not like when you watch Clone Wars and like the Attack of the Clones, you
hmm,
know what I mean? It's not like the Star Wars kind of thing where you're just telling a whole different story from a whole different other section because, you know what I mean, even though we already know it, and those work, you know what I mean? So I don't know how to feel about it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. Like I'll definitely watch it again, like I do all Marvel movies and stuff like that. But I do think this movie was set up to set up her sister, and more so of her because we already know what's happened. And then the end credit scene kind of
the end credit
basically
scene
tells
was
it.
literally like as soon as I saw it, I was just like, man, this was worth getting through the movie
Yeah,
to watch this part because this is huge, and it's the first time like we're starting to see like where they
What I was
said,
saying,
yeah, like you need to watch the
remember?
TV shows because there was
Yep.
people in our theater. Like
Who
Bree
had
saw
no
it,
idea.
and Bree was watching it, and she immediately knew. And then there was
Hmm.
people around us that were like, "What's going
I don't
on?
get.
Like, who is
Yeah.
this?" And I was like,
Hmm.
"This is it. Here we
And
go."
yes, and it makes sense that the end credit scene was what it was because at the end of the day, like there's nothing else you can tell us about Black Widow, right?
Hmm.
Like we already know what happened. We already know she broke every one of all of them out. So there's nothing else to tell but that side of the story.
Yeah.
So with her being like, her running into, gosh, I forget her name, but uh,
It starts with
I
an F, I
forget her
think.
name. Yeah, it's just drawing a blank. But basically, when she shows up and is like, "Hey, like I got a job for you," you already knew, like, "Oh, okay, well, now, like, you know what I mean." I didn't know, like, and then obviously the target being Clint makes perfect sense because she's not lying when she says, "I know who's responsible for your sister dying," but we also know Clint didn't kill Black Widow. So like now that gives us more reason to watch Hawkeye. And when we go watch Hawkeye, the TV show, we know she's going to show up. And I'm super excited about that because I thought this might be her like only go at playing the character. And now I know it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited for Hawkeye
Yeah.
now
As
because
soon
of
as I
that.
saw, as soon as they showed the picture and everything, I was like, that sets up the Hawkeye show, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is
And
perfect. And
it's perfect.
yeah, and her name's Valentina.
Valentina,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Also, is she like? I'm guessing she's trying to build her own team, or is there like
Yes.
a?
So Valentina in the comic books at one point becomes Madam Hydra. So
Oh.
that's why I don't remember. I don't think we talked because we didn't do. And I'm glad we're going to be doing most of our shows like episode by episodes because
Yeah.
then it doesn't feel like I'm lost. Because when we talked about when we talked about Winter Soldier and Falcon, I didn't get to like really deep dive into all of those things, and I didn't get to. She is like she does become Madam Hydra at one point, which is why I thought that what's his name, U.S. Agent was actually going to be. I think he's going to become Captain Hydra and follow that storyline at some point because she's Madam Hydra, and you know how they follow these loosely. So that didn't happen in the comics. Like he didn't become like what I mean Captain Hydra, but you can make it work with the elements you've already given us. So I'm really interested to see all of like the TV shows. I think it's just like the perfect touch because we can get these stories into detail where we are getting a lot of these different sides of the story and we can get a lot of the grounded characters and I'm super excited for that. Like I cannot wait to find out what happens next. I can't wait for Young Avengers and I told you guys about Thunderbolts. Well, Taskmaster's part of the Thunderbolts and like you said, Chris, this could be the start of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Also, like you know what I mean, because U.S. Agent was also a Thunderbolt at one time, and then you can get all of these characters to become Thunderbolts. And then you do have, and General Ross is always in these movies now, which
Yeah.
I love. And he's, you know what I mean? It's perfect because he's also one of the main people who started the Thunderbolts. So having like that being said, it's I you're like you said, I was more excited about the end credit scene than I was about the movie itself
Yeah.
because like my because like I said, it's continuing the story that we're currently on and I already knew pretty much what Black Widow's story was. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? At that point, obviously there were some details we didn't know, but like I don't feel like I needed this movie for anything else to happen for Black Widow's story. Like, like I didn't need any more of Natasha's story, is what I mean. So
Do you think we'll see Alexi in the
we
later
might. I
on?
mean, why not? Like, you know what I mean? Who knows? I feel like, who like why not? Like, you know what I mean? Why wouldn't they if they want to use the character and that's the best thing about this is that if you want to use those characters, you can. You can do a quick cameo drop. You could do, any type of drop. Like, obviously she's gonna need help probably finding Clint because we don't know where Clint is. We have no idea. And we're
Yeah.
gonna find out in Hawkeye. So she might call him up. Like, you know what I mean? Who knows? We don't know what their relationship is afterwards either. Like she might even get her own show. Like she could totally carry her own show. I don't see why she couldn't, but I don't think that's in the cards, but like because like Florence Pugh is just amazing and she's going to be asking for a lot of money like because she's amazing. But yeah, she's just I don't know. So and that's the best thing I feel about like when you don't have to tell a story from the behind Now we have no idea. Like it can go from any direction, and that's what gets me excited.
All right, yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, there's not much else to really talk about
Yeah,
on the
like I
show
said,
on the movie.
this one, like we said before, it just eased us
Nice
into it.
ease, yeah,
So yeah,
nice way to ease us in.
it was
And then I
nice.
mean, we're getting Shang-Chi, which
Bro, I
that,
saw that trailer again too, and I was like, well, the new trailer, and I was like, man, dude, even Brie, I
yo,
was looking at Brie, I was like, this movie's gonna slap, bro.
yo,
I
that
can't
movie.
wait.
Listen, man,
Oh,
you don't like. There's, and I'm gonna just, kung fu movies are like there's my niche movies. Like I love all movies,
mm-hmm.
but my niche movies that I watch religiously and I just are not able to talk about it as much because people don't watch them as much is horror movies and kung fu movies. You give me any of those two movies, I watch those as much as I watch anything else. They're my favorite because kung fu I just love stylistically, like the aesthetics of watching a kung fu movie is so dope to me, especially of how it's grown now. And like they're literally giving me a Marvel movie and a kung fu movie. So not only am I gonna now, my biggest issue with kung fu movies is usually the story is not told the way that I want it to be told. And now I'm getting Marvel to tell me this story and adding kung
yeah.
fu.
In the
Like
trailer, you
it's
actually see him use the rings now, and I was like,
yeah,
man,
it's just come on, dude. Like
this looks really
I
cool.
cannot wait.
I'm probably gonna be starting to read those comics.
Oh, Shang-Chi's
Yeah,
great.
this is gonna be one of my top ones for sure.
Yeah, Shang-Chi is what like, and I've only seen because I don't watch the trailers, but I've only seen like stills and stuff, and I feel, and I've seen some clips like people sharing gifs
Obviously,
and
yeah,
stuff.
TikTok
And
and all that
Shang-Chi
stuff. Yeah,
is what I wanted Iron Fist to be.
yeah,
And
man.
and the best thing about Shang-Chi is that he is the greatest martial artist in the Marvel universe. So being able to have a character like that and goes to diversity, like just being able to have an all like a mostly Asian cast,
Mm-hmm.
just like they did for Black Panther with having a mostly black cast. Like it's just going to be like I cannot wait to just watch that movie. I love Shang-Chi. I've always loved that character, and a lot of people don't know about him because they just don't read the comics like I
Yeah.
do, or like most people who get into it. And we can now that you can see characters like this makes me happy because I can be like, yo, wait till you see the stuff when he does this or this and this. So I can't wait. Like I'm most excited for that for this year. And Eternals also looks amazing too. So we can't even. There's so
Also,
much down the pipe.
quick thing on Taskmaster, I did flip out whenever um
She did
what's
the claw
Alexa?
thing.
Yeah, as soon as I
Yeah,
saw the claws,
yeah,
I was like Black
yeah, yeah,
Panther.
yeah. And then the main villain in this, he was good too because it was just like I did like the pheromone thing. The pheromone scene was dope.
That was I felt very James
Yeah,
Bond right there. I was just like,
yeah,
this is, and then
yeah,
her watching the James Bond movie because like I was
exactly.
feeling it. I was like, man,
Yeah.
this feels like a James Bond
That
movie.
I
And then
will
her
say
like
that
what?
was
Yeah, her
yeah.
watching it. I was like, oh
And then
man, they know how I'm feeling.
yeah,
What's going on?
exactly. And then oh man, and once you broke her like thing, oh god, that made me cringe when she
Oh
did I was
yeah.
like,
Other one that
but
made
it
me
was
cringe was the arm wrestling when he breaks the guy's arm and you
yeah.
see it fly. I was like,
Yeah. So yeah, and like I said, guys, enjoy the movie. I think like we said, is a nice way to ease back into the Marvel universe, and then it kind of got us ready for what's coming down the line. So with this series, we have Loki for next week,
hmm
season finale. So we're going to be
Which,
talking
I
about.
mean, if you guys haven't seen Loki, we're not gonna say anything here. I
Mhm.
will tell you after the show, Alan, but I'm just gonna say here, I don't think the person that you want it to be, I don't think it's gonna be him.
No, 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 no.
I'm
So
starting to
anyway,
see it more, man.
no, no.
I'm,
Listen.
I'm
Anyway, so
anyway.
we're gonna have that episode for you guys next week. We're the next series after that is actually going to be the What If series, which starts on the 11th.
Go check out that
So
trailer, please.
yeah,
That
go
looks
check out
really
that
cool.
trailer because I actually watched that and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And the pops are looking really cool too because they already came out with the Killmonger pop of it, and he's holding Ultron's head. Yes, go look
Oh,
at it.
okay.
Yeah. So there's plenty of cool stuff coming down the line. We're also going to start doing Star Wars when the new one shows up, Visions,
Yeah, maybe
because
we'll
you won't.
do. No, I'm not gonna catch up on a Bad Batch. Bad
No,
Batch,
no,
we're
no,
gonna
no.
miss
It's
out.
too
Yeah.
late. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Go
We'll
ahead.
just start with Visions,
Yeah,
and then you know what I mean.
and
Do
we'll
from
continue
there.
on
So
from there.
thank you guys for
Well, hold
joining
on,
us.
hold on. Before we end it,
Chris,
favorite moment, man. Got to give the
Oh yeah,
favorite
yeah. I
moment.
forgot. My favorite moment of this movie would have been. I think my favorite moments are the Taskmaster moments where you could see her do all of the different styles,
Yeah.
right? So like I really enjoyed seeing all of the different styles, like when she did the Bucky thing, when he like the Buck, like the Winter Soldier stuff, when she did the cap thing, when she like bounces it off her foot
Yep. And gets
and
it up.
catches it, like the Black Panther thing, like and it it's really small details like that that make it so cool because that's exactly who that character is. When he does the when she does the Hawkeye shot to like to flip the car, like it's you know what I mean, like Taskmaster is one of those characters that you just like if you know about that like the character you love it because it's just like and then you know that like he has more personality in the comics,
Yeah.
but this was kind of cool where it was like a stoic version,
But
but you're on the badass.
that costume was
And that costume is
100% on
sick.
point. Oh
Yeah,
man.
that costume is sick, 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 sick. And any moment that Flores Puro was in was also amazing. So
For me, it was that whole scene of like basically that building falling out of the sky,
oh
and
yeah,
like
that was dope.
everybody's just fall like skydiving and fighting, and I was like,
Hmm.
man, this is nuts.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Like
crazy.
whenever you see the soldiers go, and
Yeah.
they do not have parachutes. They
I
literally
know.
have the idea of just like, I need to take out this plane. That's
Yeah,
it. And they're
that was
flying
it.
in, and you just see them getting smacked out of the
Yeah,
air by debris
crazy.
and stuff. I was like,
Yeah,
everything air scene. I was just like, holy crap,
yeah.
this is insane.
And also another moment that I absolutely loved was when her sister makes fun of the pose.
Oh
She's like,
yes.
"You're such a poser," and like and then does it and goes, "Ugh."
Oh.
Like, it feels so like Florence Pure, like I said, was amazing in this movie. So yeah, that was our favorite moments for that. But that's
Yeah.
it for this episode of this show. The next movie I think we're going to do is actually Shang-Chi. So you won't get a movie version of the debrief. But next week, like I said, we are going to do the debrief of the season finale of Loki. And I hope you guys join us for that. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, share, do all that good stuff. We have podcast versions. Please share, do all that stuff so that the algorithm can notice us and we can continue to provide you guys with this content that we love to do. So
Yeah.
until the next time, which is next week, Fire Team out.